All right, so we did some factoring on Tuesday. And we want to do some more factoring. Let's get some practice factoring in. And this is all about you guys getting practice in, so let's just throw you in the deep end. Factor this. And I immediately write down the wrong shit.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm currently doing the factoring homework, and
Okay.
I have come across something that I do not know how to do.
What is it?
I have factored a trinomial, and it wasn't prime, so I have.
What is the trinomial? We'll do it next.
Okay. The trinomial is 6k squared plus 11. That is a different variable. Never mind. I realized my problem.
Throw an L in.
There's a k and there's a p, and I thought they were all k.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it. Well, I like that idea though. Let me make one of those next. Make sure everyone's starting on the same area. Remember when you're doing the factoring, you're doing, this is like ax squared plus bx plus c. Now we're gonna do a times c, and we're gonna do b. And so a times c is 36, and b is -13. And you want numbers that multiply to a times c, but add up to b. Can we narrow down what kind of numbers we're looking at? I know you're all still working, but what should I go for? Why?
Because
So the 13 is negative. That means I gotta add up to a negative, which means at least one of them is negative, right? So why negative and a positive?
we just said it, because it has to do add up.
Well, two negatives add up to a negative number also. At least one of them has to be negative. Let's let AC guide us. If it's one's a negative, one's a positive, what would A times C have to be? Would it have to be negative or positive?
It have to be both negatives, because it has to.
It has to multiply to a positive number, so they both have to be negatives. So that's what we're looking for. You're looking for negative numbers. Like that. Just making sure like no one's working with positive numbers and not getting anywhere. Did you guys get the two numbers? What'd you get? -9 and -4. Does that work? They do multiply to 36. That meets the 36 requirement. And they add to -13. That looks pretty good. So maybe I would have put, if we'd gone in order, gone down to -4, then -2 and -3. You could have gotten to it pretty quick. Let's go with -4 and -9. So that means this is splitting up into -4 and -9. And we'll bring these down as is. And now we want to pair it up, right? What number comes out of 9 and 6? 3. And that would leave behind what? I'd have a -3x plus 2, right? If I do that, the 3 does come out. If I do that, if I'm going to end up with a 6x squared, I'm going to need another negative over here. And I hate having negatives on my x's. So what I'm going to do is going to make that negative and switch the sign in here. I'll make the sign inside positive on that one and negative on that one. And the reason why I do that is because then if I do my 3x minus 2 here, with those signs, it's easier to see what -2 and -4x go with. And I don't have negatives crap out here and negative crap in here. Avoid negatives where you can, just deal with it all at once if you can. But it would work. If we did 3 times -3x plus 2, we'll explore that in a second. To get to -4x with -2, I need 2x here. So if I pull that out, I have 3x minus 2. And I'm left with 2x minus 3. Now, if I do this the other way. Put a little line here. I would be repeating the negative 3x plus 2. And to go from 2 to negative 4x, I would need a negative 2x out here. And so my parentheses would look like this. Are these the same? So I'll show you that they are. What is -1 times -1? It's +1, right? So if I multiply this by -1 and -1, I'm really just multiplying it by 1, right? And I can multiply anything by 1 and it doesn't change, right? So by doing that, I'll distribute 1 -1 to this parentheses and 1 -1 to this parentheses. -1 times -3x becomes +3x. And I also have to hit the second thing in there. -1 times 2 is -2. And then I'll take that one and do it over here. -1 times -2 is +2. And -1 times +3 is -3. And we get the same thing. So you would be technically correct with both. Just note that this is a little bit harder to do. And the way I made that decision, I think is probably the more important thing to show you, is we were saying -3x plus 2, and I'm looking at this 6x squared minus 4x. And I'm going, this is positive, that's negative. My signs don't match up if I make a pair, which means it's going to have, I'd rather they match up. I'd rather this sign matches the sign in here because then I have a positive number on the outside kind of thing. It's something you'll gain with practice. Let's call that page 1. You guys ready for more? All right. This is compliments of Chris. You can blame him. Now, before you get started, because this is probably going to be like a hell no kind of thing. The x squared in front with an x right here kind of makes me think I can get something going on with an x like that, and maybe some numbers up front. The y squared back here, also with a y here, makes me think I can get something with like a y here, and maybe some numbers in front. So I'm going to have an x and a y and x and a y. Rather than focusing on the y's, let's add the y's in after. Recognizing they got to go on the last term. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this without the y's. And we just gotta like make a note, preferably in something that stands out, add this shit back in at the end. Now go ahead and try to factor it. What'd you guys get for A times C? B. You all are working on it. Never mind, no one's done it. Are you done? Okay, keep going.
I'm actually, I didn't do that.
What did you do?
I did the guess and check.
Okay, what'd you get?
My first set, I got 4x minus 1, and for my second, I got 3x. And then I had to.
Have you tried doing it the other method? Because you're gonna get you. I'm gonna wreck you on the test.
I know. I was gonna
You know
try
that's
to do
coming,
it.
right? I'm not gonna make some trivial, easy shit on the test. No, I'm sure there will be an easy problem on the test.
It's because I just did that like all last semester, so I feel like it's easier for me that way.
Of course it is. So use it as the fallback method. Or use it to figure out what the solution is, then try this method and see if you can reproduce it. That way you can practice it knowing what the answer is. And get good at problems that you won't be able to do what you're doing on. Okay, because like. After algebra, you hit trigonometry stuff and presumably calculus, and guess and check doesn't really work. It stops being an effective tool. And unfortunately, most of the people that teach algebra in high school don't know calculus, so can't take that wisdom out.
That scares me.
Let there be light.
I went into the restroom and like it's the lights are on sensors as well, so I'm like,
Pitch black on you, is that what you said?
yeah, I walked and it was just pitch black. It took a minute for it.
I got confused because I walked by and I saw, hi, David. And then but then I realized I use paper that I've already used, like there's stuff on the other side. And it was just like something that was typed up for me. When I saw it, I thought it was another teacher leaving me a note. Your name jumps out at you when you see it, it just does. So now's a good time to do the try.
The what? I'm gonna watch you do this one because I haven't watched the other one, because I don't want to confuse myself, that's why.
You already know one way though.
I think, but that's what I'm like, I know this is, so I don't want to. Getting
It won't confuse you. Guessing and checking is easy.
back.
There's not a lot of strategy in it. You just try numbers.
Yeah, so I'm gonna watch this one and then try to do this other one, so then I'll.
Oh, yeah. And I'll probably give you one that doesn't
I
check very easily. Oh, do I got one I can do like that today? Maybe. What is A times C? -84. What is B? 25. So the idea here is we look at B to decide what signs we need. Now, B is a positive number, which means we either need 2 negative numbers or 2 positive numbers. Those are the only things that multiply together that make a positive number. And then we look at A times C to go, wait, what am I saying? I'm saying it backwards. This has got to be, looking at this, the sign is negative. It means one of these has got to be a negative and one of these has got to be a positive. Because that's the only way you're going to get a negative number. So then we look at B and go, B is big, it's positive. So the positive number has to be bigger. So I could start with -1 and positive 84. And I know that's a long way from where I'm fucking going. So I'm gonna jump ahead. Like I can see that 4 divides into 84. Let me try that. -4 goes in 21 times. And that's 17. I went too fucking far. So I'm gonna backpedal and go, okay, it's 25 is somewhere in here, and I only got a couple options. I can try -2 or I can try -3. It's gotta be one of those. I think 17, 25 is closer to 17. I'm gonna go with -3. -3 goes in 28. Goes in 28 times. And that matches up. So I'll put -3 and I'll put 28 with some X's. All right, now we do grouping. What can I take out of this one? Yeah, 7's a prime number, so if anything's gonna come out, it's gotta be it. Now I'm gonna go, okay, this one's got a negative sign here. This is a negative sign here. I'm not gonna fuck with the negative sign. I'm just gonna leave this positive. And if I do that, I'm gonna have 4x minus 1. Which means the 4x minus 1 repeats. And then I can look at either one of these. I like looking at the second one and going, what do I gotta take -1 and multiply it by to get -3x? Positive 3x, right? And we finish our grouping. And double check it real quick, make sure I get I got 4x times 3x is 12x squared, I got that up here. -1 times 3x is -3x. 7 times 4x is 28x. I add those together, I have 25x. I don't have that up here. I have 25xy. Check your work afterwards, you can remind yourself that you need to throw that y in. Does putting in that y work? Got -3xy here. And here I've got 28xy. So those add together to 25xy. And finally, -y times +7y will give us the -7y squared. That looks like a valid answer. Is ready for another? Okay. Let me think of some hard shit to make it so that you can't guess it very easily. Because that's the kind of dick that I am. Oh, there's a lot of combinations there. All right, go big or go home, right? Keep the hard practice in the way in class. When you got the teacher to help you afterwards, makes homework and tests easier. Yeah, guess and check on that one. It's still doable with the last number not being too bad. But you got a lot of variations there, so you might be better off trying it the other way. And to make sure you're doing it right, let's make sure everybody gets the right A times C first. For A times C, I'm getting -360.
Okay, I finished doing it with the guessing check, but I'm gonna try it. I already got it.
You got lucky.
Did I?
There's a lot of variance of 24x squared. Yeah, you did get lucky. You could have done 1 and 24, 2 and 12,
But what I do,
3 and 8, 4 and 6.
I see the first number, but then I'm looking at the second variable, I'm like, okay, I can't choose a big number. So I chose 6 and 4. What I did was I got.
What do you
6
mean it can't be a big number? Why?
Because at first I was like, oh, 12 and 2, but if I did 12 and 2, I would get a bigger number. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to multiply.
Big numbers will work because you got a negative one here and a positive one here.
You could, but I have to get 2. Because I looked
You're
at
right,
it,
which means a big one on both sets, because this is negative positive. If you make the negative one big here, you make the positive one big over here. And that way you end up with something close to 0 in the middle. It's doable. Go ahead, keep practicing. Okay. Challenge accepted. Make it harder. Yeah. Yeah. It's great. Yeah, well, I think I can do better than that. Devious. And if that doesn't do it, I got another one. I can keep bringing them until I make it so that you're like, no, I'm gonna do it. All right. What numbers work? What's a tech? We already did it. What numbers work?
Or -8.
-18 and +20. Those multiply to 360, -360, and they do add to -2. That is a valid combination. So we will fork this. -2x into -18x plus 20x minus 15. Did anyone else get anything different? Did everyone?
Yeah, I did -20. Yeah, that's.
You're right. It's got to be positive and negative. That's a good catch. Here I am just listening to Alexia up here. She's fucking me up, giving me wrong shit. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. See how easy it is to do when you're looking at the signs? I'm gonna give you one, like when we get to the regular class, I'm gonna give you a fucking basic one. And I'm not gonna tell anyone the answer, and then I'm gonna ask how many people got this and how many people got that. I guarantee you there's gonna be people in both groups because it's easy to fuck up even simple ones. With just like that, saying, did you actually tell me the numbers wrong or did you write them down wrong too? Okay, so we'll address how to check that too. When we go from here, I can factor out a -5 on this one. And we get 4x plus 3. We should get another 4x plus 3. And that means I need a 6x, right? That gives me 24x squared, 18x, -20x, -15. So right now, if you double check it, it's a good starting point. Take your values and double check that this worked. That's the best spot to check it, believe it or not, not at the end. I mean, you can get all the way to the end and then multiply it out and you'll find out rather quickly whether or not it worked or not. But right here, you've already got it semi-factored, you can check right away. So if we finish that out, we got 6x minus 5 and 4x plus 3. Now, if you've done the opposite, let's say we, like I listened to Alexia and trusted her move, and I got some shit like this. So I said, there's another 4x minus 3. Where did you go from here? Did you go just 6x or something like that? What did you do?
Yeah.
So the 6x times 4x gives me 24x squared. 6x times -3 gives me -18x. This is all checking out so far. That checks out, that checks out. So I could write it like this. The question is that a good answer? And it's not, we know it's not. So what should we do? What does this tell us we should do every time, especially on a test? Check your answer. How do we check our answer? Multiply it out of the end. We multiply this one out of the end, we've got 24x plus 20x minus 18x minus 15. And we're going to see plus 2x. If you get that and you see that the sign is wrong, don't just ignore it and go, don't go, yep, good. I see this all the time. People check their work, the check shows them that they're flat out fucking wrong. And they'll put a check mark on it like, yep, made sense to me. Don't do that. Use this and go, oh shit, that doesn't match that. And go back and check it. Sometimes it's as simple as changing these signs. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's entirely different numbers. Oh, I'll give you two to work on. And I'll give you the answers as well. Okay. These are harder ones to practice on with big numbers. Okay. Let's go with, since she thinks she's so competent with 24 x squared. When you're done, do you want the answers?
No.
You don't want the answer, okay. I'll give them to you in 15 minutes. And then the other one is, let's go with a multiple of 24. Yeah. That's I can. You're like, nope, I ain't doing that shit. That's way too much work. Excellent practice though. If you can get through this, like factoring is gonna be easy. Easy. You're gonna kick everybody's ass that's not in the support course. Because you're gonna be way better at factoring than they are. Because that's all the difference is practice. I'm at the front of the room lecturing because I practice this shit an awful lot. That's the only difference. I'm not any smarter.
I have a question. The question we just solved before, the equation on the right, that's only if we did it earlier. Right?
Yeah, if you got the wrong numbers.
Uh,
She put this gave the wrong numbers, which showed that this was bad. It was not right.
So the left side is the answer.
The left side is the correct answer, yes. The right side, it was a learning opportunity to go, you can fuck up. Hey, I do it all the time. I do it in lectures.
I've done the first one.
Okay, Take a shot on both. I'll give the answers in 10 minutes.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, maybe I'll leave it recording so anyone that wants to see the answers later. I'll just have to turn it off between classes. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. This should have been 3 earlier. Did you do the 3 earlier? Did you? Chris, did you get these done?
I was still working on the second one.
Did you try getting a greatest common factor first?
I saw 8, 8, and 5, and I was like, "There's no way there's a greatest common factor." But now I'm seeing that 3 is.
And there is. It was sneaky. I didn't even notice when I set it up. I noticed when I wrote it down right now. Oh shit, 6 and 21 have a common factor. So if you guys think it's complicated, right? Easy to guess and check on that one.
I didn't, but look, now that I'm the answer, I never tried to. That was too busy doing, like, oh, there's like 8, 6, and 12, but I never,
And why do you think I did that?
because you knew I wouldn't do.
Because you just got done telling me that it's easier to go for the middle numbers. I go, all right, let's fuck her up a little bit. Let's go all max on one and then just do 1x on the other. I knew you wouldn't try, it's the natural thing to not try first, I agree. But it does occur. You guys that aren't sitting in the Math 335 class are missing some good practice. Math 35. We're gonna, oh shit, what section are we on? I have no idea what section this is called nowadays. Because the book all fucked me up. Let's see. I think this is now the new R5, but I was calling it R4 in the last video. All my lecture notes are wrong for chapter R. They're all out of order. Like stuff I did was shows up in chapter like section 6. They did in like R4. I mean, want to have different videos, so stop recording.